Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Well, I'll try to be brief because I'm pressed for time, but let me just express the opinion of the expert community. I totally agree with my colleagues who spoke before me as far as the use of RWD is concerned. Naturally, clinical trials, randomized clinical trials have become the foundation for the development of the pharmaceutical industry. This is especially true of the 20th century because clinical trials led to the launch of safe drugs on the market. But we know that there are some limitations, and drug developer, especially when we're talking about pioneer drugs, knows about such limitations. First of all, that's enormous expenses spent on the development of the drug from the molecule to its launch. It can be hundreds of millions of dollars. And nevertheless, when we talk about the whole process from the molecule to the launch, it can be also a long period of time, from 7 to 10 years and even longer. And right now, we're halfway through the pandemic, and that means there is a need to provide a rapid response by the healthcare system to the pandemic. That is why, on the one hand, we understand that within a 1 or 2 year period, it's difficult to develop new molecules, especially for atherotropic therapy. It's basically almost impossible. At the same time, there is a need to develop such molecules. And of course, we can see new drug formulations used for treatment of different communicable diseases. And now they are being used to treat the COVID-19 virus. And at the same time, we can see that researchers identify the specific activities of such molecules to treat new diseases. And of course, RWD as an instrument is of great importance because this is a new trend in routine practice. And the data we can obtain here are based on the patient experience in a real situation. RWDE would allow us to shorten the period of development of specific drugs or vaccines against the COVID-19 or drugs to treat orphan diseases. RWDE allow us to use the accelerated mode in launching such drugs and medicines on the market to bring them faster to patients. This is especially important in case of COVID-19 when we change the instructions for the use of drugs, when we can use specific drugs that we used for treatment of other drugs, other diseases, and now we use them for COVID-19, like remdesivir and others, well, to treat the cytokine storm, and we could see it during the previous 1.5 years, and that was our empirical experience, and we'll be using this experience to treat other diseases. And of course, the use of RWD together with data obtained from clinical trials will improve access to safe treatment by the population. Right now, the digitalization of existing data and get a huge amount of data from clinical trials, and we get RWD. In this case, we can even improve the processes of post-marketing monitoring of drugs. Naturally, the use of such medical information systems, and we can see they are being improved right before our own eyes. The use of such systems will allow us to standardize the management of medical documents and to use a complete safety and efficacy data as far as a specific drug is concerned. We can see a Russian science involved in different clinical trials. More and more doctors use the objective assessment of safety on the basis of the standard criteria, such as the severity criteria, which are adopted in international clinical trials. The same is true of the efficacy assessment when we can see the objective response to a disease on the basis of the existing standards which we used in clinical trials. Also, what is important to have access to the results of different trials, and we can basically see the adverse effects and side effects of a particular therapy on the basis of such descriptions. And of course, we can see the results of the use of CT, MRI, and other technologies. We know that on June 2nd, the president, on July 2nd, the president signed Law 3.1 on amending specific regulatory acts of the Russian Federation due to the adoption of the federal law on experimental use of digital technologies in healthcare in the Russian Federation. So on the basis of the personalized electronic health records. So as a follow-up to what I have already been said regarding new draft laws, well, we have a data matrix, which is the only one in this field in Russia. The Ministry of Health has a vested interest in this data matrix project. It would be of great interest to cooperate with this project. I mean, regulators and experts who assess the efficacy of the drugs in the which are in the pipeline, also to participate in the post-marketing studies, and within the framework of this new instrument, the government allows each company to observe the Russian law, bringing to consideration the existing data, which are depersonalized. These are data of electronic health records. Thus, pharmaceutical and biotech companies will be able to get a lot of RWD and will be able to conduct RWD studies on the Russian data. Thank you very much. That's all